Christian mythology, top 5 myths in Christianity, debunked. Christianity, one of the world's largest religions, has been practiced and interpreted in many ways over the centuries. Yet, not everything commonly believed aligns with the Bible's teachings. Today, we explore the top 5 myths in Christianity and uncover the truths behind them. Myth 1. God is formless. Many believe that God is formless. However, the Bible provides several instances suggesting otherwise. In Genesis 1:26, God says, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." This implies that humans were created in God's image, suggesting he has a form. Further examples include Genesis 3:8, where God is described as walking in the Garden of Eden, and Genesis 18:1-4, where God visits Abraham in physical form. These stories indicate that God can manifest in a human-like form when he chooses to. The Bible refers to God as the creator of the universe. In some spiritual beliefs, God is also called Kabir, who resides in a divine place called Satlok. According to these teachings, God created humans to resemble him, suggesting that he has a form. His body is made of a single divine element, unlike human bodies, which are made of 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Proof that God is in form in the Bible. Genesis, creation of humans in God's image. The Bible's first book, Genesis, offers strong proof that God is in form. Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make human beings. They will be like us and resemble us. They will have power over the fish, the birds, and all the animals, domestic and wild, large and small." Genesis 1:27. So God created human beings, making them to be like himself. He created them male and female. These verses emphasize that humans are made in God's image, meaning God has a form. If humans resemble God, then God must have a human-like appearance. Genesis, God walks and talks. Another instance of God being in physical form is found in Genesis 3:8, after Adam and Eve eat the forbidden fruit. Genesis 3:8. That evening, they heard the Lord God walking in the garden, and they hid from him among the trees. Here, we see God walking in the Garden of Eden, which is only possible if he has a form. Genesis 3:9. But the Lord God called out to the man, "Where are you?" In this verse, God speaks to Adam, showing that he has the ability to communicate audibly. If God were formless, these actions wouldn't make sense. When God appeared to Abraham. God's appearance to Abraham in the form of 3 men is another example that God is in physical form. Genesis 18:1. And the Lord appeared to him, Abraham, by the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. Genesis 18:4. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet, then recline under the tree. Here, Abraham offers to wash God's feet and feed him, proving that God had a human-like form with feet and other physical features. God appearing to Jacob at Peniel. In another instance, Jacob claimed to have seen God face to face, Genesis 32:30. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, "For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." This verse clearly states that Jacob saw God in person. God's appearance to Moses. Moses also had a direct encounter with God. In Exodus 3:6, God identifies himself to Moses, Exodus 3:6. Moreover, he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. This verse indicates that Moses was afraid to look at God's face, implying that God was physically present. Exodus 33:11. And the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. Again, this shows that God was in human form, capable of face-to-face conversation with Moses. God in the fiery furnace. In the book book of Daniel, we see another instance of God appearing in physical form to save his people. Daniel 3:25. He answered and said, "Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God." God appeared in human form in the fiery furnace to protect the young Hebrews from harm. This passage further proves that God is not formless. Myth 2. Jesus is God. Another common misconception is that Jesus is God. While many Christians believe this, the Bible differentiates Jesus as the Son of God, not God himself. In Hebrews 1:5, it is written, "You are my son, today I have become your father." Similarly, in Matthew 17:5, God declares, "This is my son whom I love. With him I am well pleased." The Christian Trinity reflects this distinction, with Jesus representing the Son and God as the Father. Myth 3. There is no rebirth in Christianity. Contrary to popular belief, the concept of rebirth finds support in Christian theology. Historical accounts suggest that prophets like Moses, David, and Jesus have been reborn or reappeared. For instance, when Prophet Muhammad visited heaven, he encountered these figures, implying that rebirth exists in some form within Christianity and other faiths. Myth 4. God ordered Christians to kill and eat animals. It is often assumed that God permits the killing and eating of animals. However, Genesis 1:29 clarifies God's original intent for human sustenance. "I have provided all kinds of grain and all kinds of fruit for you to eat." This passage suggests that God designed humans to be vegetarians, relying on plants and fruits rather than animals for nourishment. Myth 5. Adam was the first human. Christianity traditionally teaches that Adam was the first human. Yet, other religious traditions, such as Jainism, propose otherwise. Jain texts mention a sage named Manu and his descendants who lived before Adam's time. These accounts challenge the idea that Adam was humanity's starting point, suggesting a broader context for human existence. These 5 myths demonstrate how interpretations of Christianity can evolve and differ. By exploring the Bible and other sources, we can better understand the faith's teachings and truths.